If you're a man, you better admit it.
If you're a woman, too.
You always have been a dreamer and a visionary.
Always seeing and hearing things that were not there.
Maybe, in the twilight deeps of a wooded hollow, you spend all the time you got, reading, thinking, dreaming.
As I did.
Reading Howard Phillips' Lovecraft, for instance.
The Tomb.
Down moss-covered slopes, you took your first steps of infancy.
Around grotesquely gnarled oak trees, your first fancies of childhood were woven.
You knew the dryads. You often watched me, dancing wild in the struggling beams of the waning moon. Admit it.
But of these things we must not speak. Because, finally, you have come to the lone tomb of a family, whose last direct descendant came to this black recesses, many decades before your birth, and mine.
As I did.
The older habitants down here only speak in a hushed and uneasy voice, alluding to a divine wrath, of the midnight storm which destroyed the gloomy mansion of the old and exalted family.
Their house has fallen victim to the flames, which sprang up from a disastrous stroke of lightning.
But the vault, as you can see, is of ancient granite, excavated back into the hillside, and only touched by mist and dampness.
The door is a forbidding slab of stone, still hanging upon rusted iron hinges, fastened ajar by means of heavy iron chains and padlocks. But no doubt, you have found the key.
As we once did.
No, you shall never forget the afternoon when you first stumbled upon this hidden house of death.
It was in midsummer, when the senses are intoxicated with the surging seas of moist verdure, and the subtly indefinable odors of the soil and the vegetation.
In such surroundings, the mind loses its perspective. Time and space become trivial and unreal, and echoes of a forgotten prehistoric past beat insistently upon your consciousness.
All day we have seen you wandering through the mystic groves of the hollow, thinking thoughts we need not discuss, conversing with things we need not name.
In years you were still a child, but you had seen and heard many wonders, unknown to the throng, and you were oddly aged, in certain respects.
And then, upon forcing your way between two savage clumps of briars, you suddenly encountered the entrance of the vault, with its dark blocks of granite, its door so curiously ajar, and the funereal carvings above the arch.
Spurred on by my voice.
Or mine.
You vainly peered through the aperture so tantalizingly left, into the cold and damp interior, resolved to enter the beckoning gloom, in spite of the ponderous chains which bar the passage.
In the waning light of day, you rattled the rusty impediments, hoping to throw wide open the stone door, and tried to squeeze your slight form through the space already provided.
But neither plan met with success. And returning home in the thickening twilight, you have sworn to the 100 gods of the grove, that at any cost you would someday force an entrance to the black and chilly depths that seemed calling out to you. I knew your rather original ideas regarding life and death had already caused you to associate in a vague fashion the cold clay with my breathing body. And I also knew you felt that the great and sinister family of the burned-down mansion was in some way represented within the stone space you sought to explore.
Mumbled tales of the weird rites and godless revels of bygone years in the ancient hall gave you a new and potent interest in the tomb, before whose door you would sit for hours at a time, each day.
Once you thrust a candle within the nearly closed entrance, but could see nothing, save a flight of damp stone steps leading downward, to where we lay waiting.
The odor of our place repelled, yet bewitched you. In a past, remote beyond all recollection, beyond even the tenancy of the body you now possessed, you felt you had known my tomb before, as it was yours.
And mine.
How many years have you been looking forward with hot eagerness to this moment, my love? To the time you might pass, within that slimy door, and down those stone steps in the dark?
By the time you came of age, you already had made a small clearing in the thicket, before the mold-stained facade of the hillside, allowing the surrounding vegetation to encircle and overhang the space, like the walls and roof of a sylvan bower.
Here you would lie outstretched on the mossy ground,
thinking strange thoughts,
dreaming strange dreams.
It was with a distinct sense of awakening that you heard this voice again, speaking to you in that monotonous tone, and with that uncanny vocabulary, pronunciation, and mode of utterance.
You fancied that, as you awoke, a light had been hurriedly extinguished within the sunken sepulchre. But you were not panic-stricken, not even astounded.
Upon returning home, you only went with much directness to a rotting chest in the attic, wherein you found the key, which could unlock with ease the barrier you had so long stormed in vain.
And so, in the soft glow of late afternoon, you enter the vault. A spell is upon you, your heart leaps with an exultation you can but ill describe.
As you close the door behind you, and descends the dripping steps by the light of a lone candle, you seem to know the way.
And though the candle sputters with the stifling reek of our place, you feel singularly at home, in this musty charnel house air.
As you can see now, there are many marble slabs here, bearing coffins. Some of these are sealed and intact, others have nearly vanished, leaving the silver handles and plates isolated, amidst certain curious heaps of whitish dust.
Upon one plate you will read my name,
or mine,
and in an alcove, you will find a fairly well-preserved casket, adorned with one single word,
which will bring to you a smile and a shudder, and make you climb upon the broad slab,
and extinguish the candle, and lie down within the vacant coffin with the tarnished plate,
bearing only your first name.